We are 12 days away from the NFL trade deadline being here, and we have some major rumors to discuss from ESPN, Diana Russini, and Jordan Schultz around the New York Giants making a move. Before we do that, though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and we are only 5,745 diehard Giants fans away from getting to our goal. Also, we'll be live the entire day on trade deadline day. That is November 4th. So, subscribe for free videos every day on Big Blue. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Let's go ahead and skip into this one. The New York Giants, could they be looking to make a trade for a receiver? That has been the talk of the town over the last couple of weeks. There was a report last week about Connor Hughes saying that Joe Schoen was going big game hunting for a receiver. We've all heard the Jalen Waddle talks. We've all heard the Chris Olave talks. But is a trade actually going to happen? ESPN's NFL insider, Jeremy Fowler, wrote this, saying, quote, the Giants come to mind here for a wide receiver trade. They could use help for Jaxson Dart. But multiple teams I've spoken to believe the Giants would prefer to keep their draft picks as a team that is still in a transition. There's always a surprise team lurking, and perhaps the Giants end up being that team. So Jeremy Fowler wrote that, and back on the weekend, we talked about what Diana Russini of The Athletic said when she wrote, despite the loss of Malik Neighbors, the Giants aren't aggressively working the phones to add a receiver. Right now, I think that is the most important part of that. She said right now, Jeremy Fowler said he got the vibe essentially from teams the Giants weren't looking to strike a deal right now. So things could change. But at this point, it does seem like the wide receiver talk and the Giants going out and being big game hunters, looking to acquire Jalen Waddle, have seemed to have cooled off at this point. But we know things can change quickly in this league. Say the New York Giants go out and play the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday and they don't look good and the receivers don't produce and the Giants become to feel a little bit worried about really the development of Jaxson Dart if there are no weapons. So things can change like that, and it still sounds like teams are doing their due diligence on wide receivers across the league. Jordan Schultz is reporting the two wide receivers in New Orleans, Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, are being monitored by wide receiver needy teams ahead of the trade deadline. Both are set to become free agents after the season, which also is not true because Chris Olave had his fifth-year option picked up, saying with the Saints sitting at 1-6, several teams are wondering if New Orleans might move on to gain future assets. Despite what Jeremy Fowler is saying, even though he kind of backdoored what he was saying by the Giants could still be a surprise team to go out and do it, and despite what Diana Russini said, I am not going to rule out a wide receiver trade for this team. You just look at what they have. You look at really the lack of production that they gave you in the game against the Denver Broncos where only one wide receiver had a catch. I think they're still going to look to make a move. And I love the addition of Ray-Ray McCloud, but that's not a move that you make to say, all right, we're not doing it. We're not trading for a receiver. No, that's not how that works. You can trade for a guy and you can still sign Ray-Ray McCloud to the practice squad like they did. So I still think a move is on the table, and I still think there could be something coming down the pipeline. You have until November 4th to get it done. I like the addition of Ray-Ray, but it doesn't solve the problem of this wide receiver depth chart. You still do also have Lil'Jordan Humphrey on the practice squad. He's been elevated 2 times, so he's got one more game day elevation. Then if you want to continue to see him on the active roster, you're going to have to sign him to the 53. Also, Darius Slayton sounds like he's going to be coming back this week. So maybe that gives the Giants a little bit of confidence they don't need to go out and trade for a receiver. Big week, though. Slayton, Wan'Dale, you're going to see Lil'Jordan out there. Maybe you'll get to see some McCloud, maybe Hyatt. It's an opportunity for these guys to show Joe Schoen, hey, you don't need to make a move. Or maybe these guys show Joe Schoen, hey, you do need to make a move. I think they do. Because I don't think you can continue to play offense at the rate that you have played offense over the last couple of weeks with the way the receivers have produced, specifically in that game against the Denver Broncos. Jalin Hyatt, 0 catches. Bo Collins, 0 catches. Lil'Jordan Humphrey, 0 catches. Wan'Dale Robinson was the only wide receiver against Denver to catch a football. It just doesn't make a lot of sense with a rookie quarterback to try to create an offensive attack that looks like it did against Denver. So if you want the Giants to trade for a receiver, hit that thumbs up icon for me down below. I think that they need to, not to make a playoff push. I don't know how many times I have to say that. To help their rookie quarterback develop this year and also find a receiver that you can pair going forward alongside Malik Neighbors. Coming up next, we have some injury news to discuss. Brian Burns, is he going to play this Sunday? Also an update on Paulson Adebo and Jevon Holland. We'll talk about that coming up in a second. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to our proud sponsor of today's show, and that is Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but making the right decisions on Prize Picks can get you paid. It's the #1 daily fantasy sports app on the market. I play Prize Picks every Sunday. I also play it during the NBA season as well. All you do is create a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you either pick more or you pick less on their projected stat line. And when you use the promo code CLNS, you get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. I've already cooked up a 2-man lineup for Thursday Night Football. Give me the more on 1.5 passing touchdowns for Justin Herbert. And I got Justin Jefferson getting in the box on Thursday night. Give me more than half a rush or receiving touchdown for him. As you can see, some nice payouts as well. So download the app, create an account, use that promo code CLNS. And when you do, and you play your first $5 lineup, you get $50 in lineups. Shout out to them. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All righty, let's dive into the injury report for the New York Giants. They are wrapping up their Wednesday practice right now, and we have some updates to the injury report to get into as well. Players that did not participate at practice today. Paulson Adebo did not practice due to a knee injury. Jevon Holland did not practice due to a knee injury. Chauncey Golston did not practice due to a neck injury. And Brian Burns did not practice due to a hip injury. You talk about Brian Burns, he left the locker room with a walking boot on, said that was just precautionary. He made it seem like this week when speaking to the media, he was going to play against the Philadelphia Eagles. So he said it. He hasn't practiced yet. I'll take him at his word. I want to focus, though, on Paulson Adebo and Jevon Holland here because I think they are a little less likely to play than Brian Burns. I'm a little bit worried about them being out there. And not good that they won't be out there because obviously they've played. They are better than the players the Giants have behind them. I will say that. And you're playing an Eagles team that looked pretty damn good against an impressive Minnesota Vikings defense. Jalen Hurts got back in his bag, 19 to 23, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, and a perfect 158.3 QB rating. And A.J. Brown starting to build some chemistry, it seems like, with Jalen Hurts this year. 4 grabs for a $121, 2 tutties, and a 30.2 yards per catch average. And Devontae Smith as well had a really big game. 9 catches for a $183. He had a score and 20.3 yards per catch. So you could potentially be down your starting corner, your starting safety, and you're going up against the Eagles team that I believe is going to be looking to pass the ball this week against Philly, just like they did against the Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Renan saying this: center John Michael Schmidt's concussion still in protocol, but making very good progress per Brian Daboll. He'll likely be a limited participant in practice again on Thursday. And the injury report actually just came out, and John Michael Schmidt's was a full participant at practice on Thursday. The players that were limited on Wednesday's practice included Daniel Bellinger, Swayze Bosman, DJ Davidson, Jermaine Illuminor, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, and Darius Slayton. But at Thursday's practice, Bellinger was still limited. Swayze Bosman was still limited. DJ Davidson was actually a player that did not participate at all. And Jermaine Illuminor, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, they stayed limited, whereas JMS, was actually a full participant. So he could potentially end up playing this week against the Eagles. Players that were full participants, Jaxson Dart, kind of nursing that ankle injury. I thought it kind of affected his ability and willingness to run the football on Sunday. And then Graham Gano, the kicker, has a groin injury. He's full participant. I know this is something you do not do. I know this is actually stupid to say out loud, but it applies to the New York Giants here. I think they should dress 2 kickers this week. I think that you should dress Graham Gano, and I think you should also dress somebody else. They have lost too many games for Graham Gano, either A, getting hurt in games, B, playing hurt in games, or C, having him get hurt in pregame warmups. He's an old kicker. He is what he is. Don't leave it up to chance. I would activate and dress 2 kickers of the 48 players that are going to dress this weekend. So that is what I would do if I was the New York Giants. But is it smart? I think so. Is it crazy to think that you should dress 2 kickers on game day? Yeah, nobody does that. But if you're a team like the Giants that has lost 3 games due to Graham Gano injuries, and you just lost another game because you employed Jude McAtamy, yeah, you should probably do what's best and make sure you get that kicker position right. That's just me, though. If you guys want to beat the Eagles, and I mean sweep the Philadelphia Eagles, you beat them 2 weeks ago, you want to beat them again this Sunday, hit that thumbs up icon for me. And make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, @MarshallGreen_.